to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today Around Kansas has some great stories for you, starting with one about legendary Kiowa War Chief Santana. Then we take another behind-scenes look at the movie Picnic and find that author William Inge changed the ending of his original Pulitzer Prize winning play for the movie adaptation. Next, learn all about Locusts, and then we'll end up with a poem from Ron Wilson. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road.
Good morning. Welcome to Around Kansas from the historic Dillon House in downtown Topeka in the shadow of the state capitol. I'm Deb Goodrich.
And I'm Frank Chafin.
So good morning. Good morning. And Frank, in honor of his series on the movie Picnic, has worn his picnic shirt today.
Yes. I'll take the heat on that. In fact, I hadn't thought of that, and then you said that. You wore your picnic shirt, and I said, well, it does look like a tablecloth.
Yeah, did you interrupt a picnic to grab that one? Is that...
Yes, I did. It was fun. Anyway, we're referring to the fact that I've been doing this series on the movie Picnic, which was, of course, filmed in Kansas 60 years ago, had 6 Academy Awards, won 2 of them, and of course starred Kim Novak. It was her actual first starring role. Of course, she was very young at the time, and she played opposite a 38-year-old man who was pretending to be in his 20s, William Holden.
Hey, William Holden could get by with anything.
Yeah.
I don't care how old he was. He was something.
And Rosalind Russell. So it was filmed in several locations around the state. In Hutchinson and Salina and Halstead and Newton. And so anyway, of course, if you've been following it, I've been doing trivia, some of the fun stuff and maybe not so fun stuff during the filming of the movie. So I'm about done with that, though.
So I'm going to get equal time for the old westerns, right? When we're done with Picnic, okay? All right. You know, because I'm into the war movies and the old westerns. You know, the shoot 'em ups. Somebody's got to die in one of my movies to make it interesting. So May is just gone practically, and June is going to be an incredibly busy month. The first event I think I'm attending in June is Armed Forces Day out at the National Guard Museum in Topeka, out at Forbes Field, and that's fantastic. They have great programs all day. They've got, I think, some reenactments, booths set up. They have planes and tanks and all kinds of cool things. Kids just love it. So they have a pancake feed. They start out in the morning with a pancake feed. So visit their website, you know, for the National Guard Museum, and go back in our archives because we've done some really wonderful interviews out there with some very, very interesting veterans. So you can go back and look for those too. What you got coming up in June?
Well, of course, I'm doing also a series on opera houses around the state. So we'll probably visit the C.L. Hoover Opera House over in Junction City. It's quite a place. And then have you heard of the Wolf Hotel?
Well, not until we were at the Weekend Festival, you know, with the Sampler Foundation, and saw the young man that owns that, but I'd never heard of it till then.
Yeah, it's quite an historic hotel, and it is still under restoration, even though a lot of it has been restored. And you can it's kind of like a bed and breakfast, but we'll tell you more about that. And then how about a coffee shop with no roof?
Hey. Kansans just don't let anything stop them.
Yeah, I imagine
no roof, no problem.
And I imagine that's really fun in the winter.
That's going to be a great one.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about what's coming up today here pretty soon too, so we'll be back.
We'll be right back.
The historic Topeka Cemetery is the oldest chartered cemetery in the state of Kansas. Founded in 1859, it is the resting place of thousands of soldiers and pioneers, the people that created our state and its institutions. It continues to be the sacred burying ground for Kansas families. Come take a tour of historic grave sites or just enjoy the spectacular view of the Topeka skyline. Call us at 785-233-4132 to arrange a visit.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
This segment brought to you by Heinen Brothers Ag, farmers helping farmers by offering quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia. Call today to protect your crop yield. We have way too much fun on this show. Anyway, we're back on Around Kansas. Okay, Deb, your turn.
Well, I've got a fascinating feature on a really fascinating person. You know, before whites came to Kansas, obviously there were a lot of American Indians here. There were Indian tribes who were moved out here by the federal government, and there were a few who were native, like the Kiowa. So one of the individuals who became legendary across the plains and actually was reported on quite a bit in the Eastern press was Santana. And he is one that the Kansas school children learn about because he was quite a remarkable orator. And so his speeches got picked up by the Eastern press and reported. He had adamant opposition to the whites moving in and taking the land and killing the buffalo. So he was quite outspoken in that regard, and a pretty fierce warrior. So he's a really interesting person, very interesting person. Let's take a closer look.
He was called the Orator of the Plains, White Bear, and Santana. This Kiowa warrior was born along the Canadian River but migrated south with his family. The Kiowa were a nomadic people, following the herds they hunted, and they came to the high plains of Kansas long before it became a territory. Santana became one of the most recognized names on the plains in the 1860s and 1870s. His raids along the Santa Fe Trail created terror among the white pioneers and resolve among his fellow tribes. In 1867, Santana represented the Kiowa at the Medicine Lodge Peace Treaty. A newspaper reporter from St. Louis recorded the speech. All the land south of the Arkansas belongs to the Kiowa and Comanche, and I don't want to give away any of it. I love the land and the buffalo and will not part with it. I want the children raised as I was. I have heard that you want to settle us on a reservation near the mountains. I don't want to settle. I love to roam over the prairies. There I feel free and happy, but when I settle down, I grow pale and die. A long time ago, this land belonged to our fathers, but when I go upriver, I see camps of soldiers on its banks. These soldiers cut down my timber. They kill my buffalo, and when I see that, it feels as if my heart would burst with sorrow. This building of homes for us is all nonsense. We don't want you to build any for us. We would all die. Look at the Pennatinkas. Formerly, they were powerful. Now they are weak and poor. I want all my land, even from the Arkansas south to the Red River. My country is small enough already. If you build us houses, the land will be smaller. Why do you insist on this? What good will come of it? I don't understand your reason. Time enough to build us houses when the buffalo are all gone. But you tell the Great Father that there are plenty of buffalo yet, and when the buffalo are gone, I will tell him. This trusting agents for food, I don't believe in. The treaty did not result in peace, but in greater conflict. For a short time, Santana was held prisoner by George Custer, a bargaining chip to coerce the Kiowa to move. Santana was in the middle of raids as far-flung as Texas before turning himself in to authorities in 1874. When told he would never be released from prison, He jumped to his death from a second-story window in the Huntsville, Texas prison hospital. He was buried in the prison cemetery, and later his remains were moved to the cemetery at Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
I'm Dr. Frank Lyons, a physician here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. As one of the only standalone stem cell centers in the U.S., we use your stem cells as therapy for arthritis and some autoimmune diseases.
I'm Dr. Andrew Pope, here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Utilizing the latest technology under strict protocols, we're able to harvest your stem cells from your own fat to treat a variety of medical conditions. The best part about it is, it's a same-day surgical procedure and requires no general anesthesia.
Biodiesel made from sustainable resources is diversifying our fuel supply. This year, biodiesel will displace over 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. It's making our economy stronger and our communities healthier. It's working here and across America. Get biodiesel going in your community. Visit americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Well, welcome back on Around Kansas. I'm Frank, and I think this is Deb.
You're still wearing your picnic shirt, aren't you?
Yeah, still wearing the picnic shirt.
So I guess we're still talking about picnic then, aren't we?
Yeah, we're about to wrap that up, but you know, there's so much stuff in that. I really had to pick some of the things that I thought were very interesting and very funny, and I think, I hope the viewers also agree with that. But you know, there was another thing too. They shot a lot of stuff along the railroad yard because, you know, his character jumps a train and gets out of town. That's the way he got to town. And anyway, when they were shooting a lot of that, kids were playing in the train yard, and they were always having to kind of get them out of there. And one of my stories talks about this big booming voice that came over the speakers one time and said, "Get them out of there." So anyway, we'll see some more about the filming of the movie Picnic. And of course that was written by William Inge. It was originally a stage play. And William Inge, of course, is from Kansas, a Pulitzer Prize winning author and playwright. And I'm going to be doing some stories on him too. But let's take a look.
Okay, more on the movie Picnic, filmed 60 years ago here in the state of Kansas. Of course, written by William Inge, who won the Pulitzer Prize for writing this particular play. Of course, he had many other plays. But an interesting thing, William Inge was obliged to continually rewrite the ending of his original stage play for the movie, even while it was in rehearsals, with the director rejecting each ending as being more depressing than the last. Inge's original idea was that Madge would stay in town. Her shoulders slumped as she dragged herself to a dead-end job at the dime store, taunted by local boys who knew she'd thrown away her reputation to a drifter who was played by William Holden. The director insisted Madge had to chase after Hal and leave town, even though most of the audience would realize it would be a doomed affair. All right, Inge told him, but I want you to know I don't approve. The director later wrote in his memoirs, "It's as though he killed his favorite child." And so it was in 1955, 60 years ago, during the filming of Picnic in the great state of Kansas.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
Fresh herbs are healthy and add zest to almost every recipe. The folks at Jackson's grow more than 50 varieties of herbs right here, and many are available year-round. Our staff has hands-on experience and can't wait to assist you with your herb needs. Stop in and see us at Jackson's. We're open 7 days a week.
Topeka's largest selection of homegrown herbs is at Jackson's Greenhouse with 4-inch pots starting at just $3.79.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
When your living depends on agriculture, you can depend on KFRM 550 AM. If you're in the southwest three-fourths of Kansas or the northern half of Oklahoma, catch us at 550 AM on the radio dial. But if that isn't you, listen on your cell phone at TuneIn Radio or on your computer at KFRM.com. We promise to keep you informed, entertained, and company as you go through your day. KFRM 550 AM, the voice of the plains. We would like to join your management team.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We are having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
Around Kansas, brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Around Kansas. And Frank's been talking about picnics, so I'm going to talk about bugs.
Well, before you do, they were attacked by a lot of bugs because they did this in May, and it was so humid and all that, they got eaten by the bugs. But you go ahead and talk about yours.
There's no end. There's no end. Well, I was walking through the Kansas Sampler Festival, a couple of weeks ago, when this very nice gentleman had a display about cicadas. And, we talk about locust year and, the emergence of the locust every year. They're not really locust. A locust is truly more like a grasshopper. I found out all this stuff lately. But this is cicada year, or locust year, as we always called it in Kansas. So there is all kinds of information. This Magicicada website has all this information on when the different broods hatch out around the country. So I forget the number of the brood that we're in, but it'll be like in Oklahoma and Nebraska and Iowa and everything. And they have 13-year locusts, and they have 17-year locusts, and then they have the 1-year locusts, the annual locusts that come out every year. And I can remember as a kid, playing with those little shells. You remember the little shells they would leave behind?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were pretty scary looking, and you'd find them clinging to the trees and stuff. So I thought it was pretty interesting, and they can damage some crops. And the locust plan is to overwhelm with numbers. When they first emerge, there's so many of them, the birds are having a field day, but there's thousands of them. So eventually some of them survive to, come back again. But when they're young, they can really do some damage to some crops, especially young trees. So, they are kind of a force to be dealt with if you're growing stuff.
Okay, well, I'm going to hide my eyes for this one then.
All right, well, stay tuned.
Daddy was born in locust year, 1935. At least that was locust year in the mountains of North Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia. The first locust year I recall was 1969, when Daddy was 34 years old. I remember so well because we had a young peach orchard. My younger sister and I walked along the small trees, pulling the newly hatched locusts off and stuffing them into a paper bag, and then we burned them. It must have been busy work because this was by no means effective in clearing the orchard of the thousands of locusts who had waited so long to feast on these young trees. The noise was deafening. like some science fiction movie where insects are taking over the world. As fate would have it, this is locust year in Kansas, and we will soon be inundated with the little creatures who are not locusts at all, but cicadas. Locusts are actually in the grasshopper family. But don't we have cicadas every year? We sure do, the dog days of summer cicadas who bless us every August. Other cicadas, however, only show up every 13 or 17 years. There are different broods in different parts of the country. The website, magicicada.org, reports that brood 4, the Kansan brood, will be emerging from mid to late May in Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri, and Oklahoma. This is a 17-year cycle cicada and has a distinctive orange striping on the abdomen not present in other species, for those of you who want to get up close and personal. When the cicada emerges from its shell, it is a virtual feast for birds and other small animals who enjoy a diet of insects. Eventually, though, these predators become gorged on the insects, and thousands of the cicadas survive to mate and ensure that another generation emerges in 17 years.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
If you missed the opportunity to apply crabgrass preventer to your lawn last month, there's still time. Apply Fertilome's new product, Professional Turf Weed Out Plus Crabgrass Preventer. This product kills new crabgrass, it also prevents new crabgrass and other weeds, kills dandelions, and fertilizes your lawn all in one application.
Visit Jackson's. We'll show you how to grow the best lawn in your neighborhood.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today.
I'm Dr. Frank Lyons, a physician here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. As one of the only standalone stem cell centers in the U.S., we use your stem cells as therapy for arthritis and some autoimmune diseases.
I'm Dr. Andrew Pope. Here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center, utilizing the latest technology under strict protocols, we're able to harvest your stem cells from your own fat to treat a variety of medical conditions. The best part about it is, it's a same-day surgical procedure and requires no general anesthesia.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. Go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Cowboys like to eat, and we also complain about the food. In the days of the old cattle drives, of course, there were chuck wagons that went with the cattle herds, and the guy who was chosen as chuck wagon cook, sometimes his only qualification was that he was too stove up to drive cattle, which didn't make for much of a culinary resume. This poem is entitled, "This Grub is Out of This World." Now, I hate to be someone to complain, because people who gripe can be quite a pain, but us cowboys are really stuck on the hook because of our awful chuck wagon cook. On this trail drive, he's the only food that we've got, but his grub tastes like your belly will rot. Old Cookie makes coffee as bitter as tar. His beans have a flavor that seem quite bizarre. His beef is so tough you have to saw on it first, but it's Old Cookie's biscuits that are really the worst. Biting his biscuits will give you a shock. They land in your belly like they were a rock. Whatever his recipe, he ought to adjust, because they taste like a mix of gunpowder and sawdust. We'd give anything for a meal in town, because his biscuits are the toughest thing around. But instead of giving our stomachs abuse, I think I've come up with the perfect use. That feller Jules Verne wrote of going to Mars on some magic ship that could fly to the stars. A ship like that would have to be strong to make a journey so far and so long. So when they go to make that trip, they should use Cookie's biscuits to build the ship. Happy trails.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome to Kansas. is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy.